What up? It's your boy Bobby Crillz, and as you guys know, I just recently relaunched my podcast, HOTC Podcast. With that being said, I teamed up with a couple of my boys and we decided to create a weekly open mic platform for all the upcoming artists, spoken word poets, any acoustic guitar players, band members. We're looking to put together a platform where we can go weekly, perfect our craft, and just be in an environment of music, good vibes, networking with people that are in the industry, people that are crucial to your growth. This is something that we decided is needed in this area, and we're looking for all artists. All artists, if you want to tap in, if you guys want to hit that stage, rock out with us and become a part of the Heart of the City community, make sure you guys email hotcmike@gmail.com. Again, that's hotcmike@gmail.com. And, we'll get back to you. We got very limited registration slots. It's a private location, very intimate crowd. But I promise you guys, this is going to be the hub. This is it. Feel good about it, and I'm passing all this energy on to all the upcoming artists. I want to make sure you guys feel that love, all right? You already know, it's your boy Bobby Crillz signing out. Heart of the City Podcast. Let's get it. I think I need to let you know, the way you move is unconventional. The way I feel is unintentional, but you make falling in love so regretful. As time passes, we stick to the same distractions. It's like two worlds collide and they sleep on the same mattress. What up, it's your boy Bobby Crillz, and right now you're tuned into the Heart of the City Podcast, episode number 10. And today I have a very special guest with me. This is somebody that I hold true to my heart, somebody that I collaborated with in the past, somebody that I've known for quite some time, but not personally have known. I guess we have ties that go back to, I want to say at least 90s, something like that. And we're looking at late 90s. This is somebody that I collaborated with recently and actually came out with one of the best releasing tracks that I've ever done in my life. So this is somebody that, when it comes to working with this person, I look forward to it all the time. Very positive, intelligent, driven, ambitious. I mean, there's so many words to describe this person. But right now I'm sitting here with my homegirl, Janine Hernandez. Janine, what's going on? How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Happy to see you. I'm happy to see you. It's been a long time. She flew all the way in from Phoenix, Arizona.
Just for the podcast.
Very busy girl, so thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How you feeling? Let me put my phone on airplane mode because this shit is crazy sometimes.
How am I feeling? Great.
How you feeling? How was the flight?
The flight was great. I started writing a book, but we'll get into that later.
On the flight?
The flight was great, yeah. It was good.
Wow. So you started writing a book on the flight?
Yeah.
You said we're going to touch on that?
Just nothing too crazy.
Okay. All right. So, we're here finally. I know we were talking about doing this a little while back. I want to say last summer when I first started the podcast. Unfortunately, life had hit me a certain type of way.
And me.
Yeah, life. Sometimes it gets real like that. I think I spoke to you sometime throughout the year. This year, we were like both going through some crazy shit, and it took a toll on us. But just to give a little background, me and Janine worked on Emotionally Drained. Maybe we could get into a little backstory about that, how that all came about. I knew Janine through her older sister, Jessica. Shout out to Jessica. Went to school with Jessica. And I remember you guys moved in high school to Phoenix, Arizona.
Yes.
And then luckily for social media, you kind of get to keep in contact with people that you grew up with. And I find that to be the truth when it comes to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Haven't seen them in years, and then all of a sudden you're connected on social media again, and it's like you never left.
Yeah.
But I never really interacted with you growing up, because you're a little bit younger than me, about a year or two, right?
Yeah, I'm in Shayna's grade. So
Okay,
I would interact with her, and you were just the big brother.
Yeah, so I was the big brother, and I knew that she started doing things. I remember like a time period where you just started doing things. You were more active. You were doing lives and just talking to women and doing things like that. Kind of empowering stuff. So I said, hey, I don't know if I followed you or you followed me, but it just felt like a good person to network with. And since we kind of have a mutual friend or a mutual person in line, let's just connect. So we connected, and I mean, you want to take over from here because the story's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I had this vision. I'm a very big visionary person. I get visions, and I had this vision that I was going to write a book, and every single chapter was going to have a song connected to it, and then a music video, sort of like a movie format, connected to it. And when I had that vision, you came to mind. Mind you, I've never spoken to him, nothing.
Yeah.
And the day that I was going to message you about this vision, Bobby had posted that he was stepping away from music for, I think, indefinitely.
Honestly, at that time, I mean, it was like 2020. That was 2020. That was like middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I was done. I was like, I'm done.
And I was so excited. I think I went on Instagram, and I'm like, I'm gonna DM him, and then you had posted a picture and a caption that said like, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? I was like, because I had this vision, and when I have these visions, they usually come true. And so I kind of just left it alone, and I was kind of annoyed. I was upset with you already. And then about a year later, I wrote a book. It's called The Light in Times of Darkness. And I was like, I need Bobby to write a song. And so I DM'd you, and I'm like, hey,
yeah, I remember.
I've been thinking you might know me, I'm not sure. And I just told him, I'm like, look, I have this book, I would love to send you a few chapters. Can you just do 16 bars? That's all I asked for, remember?
Yeah, you asked for something like a verse.
And he's like, yeah, okay. And he's like, so he read a couple chapters, and then I think within a day and a half, you had
Well, the book resonated,
yeah.
Very deeply with me. I was in a place at that time too, so I feel like we were connected on that level. If anybody that has read the book, The Light in the Times of Darkness, you could give a brief breakdown of what the book is about.
So I talk about the light and the dark. So going through really, really dark times, and specifically I was talking about narcissistic abuse and my experience with it. But then I talked about the light and how I overcame it, and how I looked at that experience as a beautiful one because I learned a lot of lessons. So I had him read the book, and he was like, oh my God, I resonate with this.
Yeah. So, I felt like it was a connection there, and then I found a beat that it just... Sometimes when things click like that, when it's just that natural and it feels that good, it just flows. And honestly, I wrote emotionally drained in probably like a day. It probably wasn't... I think I hit you one morning, I said, hey, listen to this beat. Let me know what you think of this beat.
I love it.
And the beat was it had cool kick, like drums to it, and I was like, oh, this is it. And I knew that the flow was going to be different. And it was like a faster flow. It was something I haven't really done before. And I just knew. I knew. In my head, I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. And then I think I recorded it probably about a week later or something like that.
And it was quick.
And then I sent it to you, and you were like, oh, my God.
I was like, wait, hold up. I said 16 bars, and he brought out a whole album. Like, this is great.
It brought out a different side of me. It brought me to a place that I had never really been artistically. So that's why, like, the relationship that we have it's real for me, because you put me somewhere I was never really at before. You know what I mean?
Well, and what are the chances that I get a vision that you're going to be the one to write this song? I didn't know him. You know what I mean? Like, we had never spoken before.
No, not at all.
And and then I think it just evolved from there. Like, we kind of just, I really didn't have a plan. I was like, okay, I got this book and I got this song. What am I supposed to do with it? And then I don't know how it came up, but we talked about doing a video. Yeah,
we talked about doing a video. We created a group chat, and we just communicated throughout the entire process. I mean, you told me your travel plans. You did a lot to make that happen too. So it's like we all did our part for that particular project, and I feel like it did well for us, because that was probably the most notoriety that I've gotten from one song. And there was so many times that you posted throughout the time of that campaign where you were putting that song in different places, and I'm just sitting here like, wow, this girl is freaking amazing.
Oh yeah, the way that I promoted it.
Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. So I'm gaining followers and stuff off of what you were doing, and to me, it was just like, thank you. You know what I mean? Like,
even like, I remember I had posted, it was a picture of me and Chuito. We were sitting in the outside, like, park area where we were, and you were kind of overlooking us. And it was a picture of me, and I'm like giving him this dirty ass look. And I just put on Facebook, I said, caption this, and everybody was just like commenting. So people were really, and what's cool is that we're from the same hometown, male, female, like, and then 2 different industries, but everybody was supporting us. They were just like, wait, hold up, we got the rapper and the book writer, like
how the hell did that happen?
Yeah, how did that happen? Like, that doesn't, you know?
And to play off of that, I think I want to just say to the people that are listening is like, sometimes you have to think outside the box like that to get the results that you're looking for, because I've collaborated with rappers so many times in my life, and I've never gotten that type of momentum off of something. The one time we did it outside the box, and it was just like, boom. And you had so much momentum at the time. You were like, I was going to keep up with you. You know what I mean? So I'm like, because this girl moves. I don't know if you guys know, but she's non-stop, firecracker. So
that was dope.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
And then we did a meet and greet, so we had people show up for that.
That was fun. That was a good time. I remember that at Blue Ale House.
Yeah,
that was fun.
And then from that, I mean, I did a couple of interviews, news station. I did one on Bloom TV, Tampa, as well. They couldn't play the song though for copyright purposes, but
honestly, that was great. I remember you sent it to Rick Ross, I think you said.
I sent it to Rick Ross. I did a bunch of house.
You was moving. But thank you for that, man. I got to thank you for that, just so you guys can know, kind of where our relationship stems from and why we're so cool, and I love you for that. You know what I mean?
I know, and I always tell him, I'm like, so what are we gonna do the next one? So
I'm ready. I mean, I like at this point right now, I'm ready to go. I got so much stuff in the holster right now. Like, I'm just ready to unload all my clips. But at this point, I'm just moving at my own pace, making sure I'm happy. You know what I mean?
Same.
So, and I like this podcast stuff. This podcast stuff is pretty good to me. You know what I mean? I feel like this is the platform that I need to really push me to the next level. But let's get back into you. You know what I mean? So we're going to start normally where I start with all my other guests. I want to know your background, your heritage, what culture you come from. What are your parents? What are you? Are you Hispanic, Afro-Latina, like your shirt says?
Yeah, so born and raised in New Jersey.
Okay.
Hoboken, New Jersey.
So you were born in Hoboken?
Yeah. We lived in Jersey City for a little bit, but then we moved to Perth Amboy. Grew up in Perth Amboy. My parents are both Colombianos. They're Colombian. But I did my DNA test recently. I knew that we had some Spain heritage.
Okay.
But I didn't know. I'm pretty much a mutt. Like, seriously. My DNA test is 25% Colombia, give or take a few percentages.
That's a big percentage, though.
25% Colombia, 25% Spain, 25 European, like other European countries, and then 25 African. It's like...
Did they tell you what part of Africa? The 23 and 1?
Everywhere.
Well, the 23 and me, not 23 and 1. 23 and 1.
I did Ancestry.com.
Ancestry. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
My mother did it, and we had a lot of African roots, too.
Yeah.
As you can tell. It's like, because I look African.
I was like, I'm from Iceland? Like, it's just interesting when you do it. But yeah, a little bit of everything.
All right, so you're Colombian. You were born in Hoboken, raised in Perth Amboy. Fortunate, I guess you could say fortunately for you, you went to a different school district in high school, right?
Yeah, we moved to Arizona, so it was a culture shock for us.
Yeah, how was that? Because you come from Perth Amboy to Arizona, and I lived in Arizona, so I kind of have an understanding of what that culture is like over there. Not so much Phoenix, but Tucson, which is kind of a big city too.
Yeah.
But the West Coast vibe in general is just completely different from where you're coming from. You're coming from Perth Amboy, you got bodegas on every corner, everything you need is in walking distance, and then you move to Phoenix. How the hell was that?
It was a culture shock.
Yeah.
We moved to Mesa, Arizona, which is on the outskirts of Phoenix. Okay. And 20 years ago, Phoenix was still small. It wasn't as big as it is now. So we moved into a predominantly white neighborhood and went to school with predominantly white. No offense to my white friends, I love you all, but it was a culture shock. I was like, what in the world is happening here? Yeah. It was different. Very different. I was probably one of 10 Hispanic or black kids in the school.
And that was in Mesa?
That was in Mesa, yeah. Okay. And mind you, my brother and my sister were there too, so that leaves 7 kids. And it was
3
not
of them
many.
were in your house.
Yeah, from my house. So it wasn't diverse. It was a cultured, yeah. Now Phoenix though is predominantly Mexican.
Okay.
So I've learned to love it. I love Mexican food. My son is half Mexican. Love Mexican food, and I've grown to learn to love the West Coast a little bit. There's certain.
Did it take a while?
Oh, it took a long time. I love.
Were you
Arizona.
like rebellious when you first got there?
Yeah, we were. I mean, me and my brother and my sister were the ones that. I mean, just talking back and being rude and like we didn't understand why people were so nice and they would be like, "Hello, good morning," and we're like.
Fuck you.
Because you know how we are here.
Oh, we're miserable over here.
Yeah, so I was like, why are they being so nice? You know, so it was just different. It was a culture shock. I love it now. I love living there. But it's
It is. It's beautiful. Arizona's beautiful. Anybody that's ever been there can tell you that.
It is beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
I do though, but I do miss like as far as New Jersey, like the bodegas and you know. Get your bacon, egg, and cheese sandwiches.
So you flew in yesterday, right? You went from like this beautiful orange landscape to this gray, just like it's kind of depressing when you come back.
Depressing.
It is. I'm not gonna lie, because when I went to Arizona about 2 years ago, it's so bright and beautiful. You know what I mean? And then you come back to Jersey, and it really is just like it's a downer kind of. So it takes a lot to live here. Just for anybody that's listening in other places. We are mean, but don't take it personal. You know what I mean? I think everybody in this area is just mean. So you just confirmed that because you went to Arizona and everybody's nice. Everybody's having a nice day. Probably just chill, relax. Mm-hmm. Come to Jersey, everybody's in a rush, and we gotta go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But don't take it personal.
It's a different culture, is what it is. But I've learned to enjoy it. I like it. It's slower paced. It's starting to pace up a little more because we're getting a lot of people from California moving there. But it's good.
And that's in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, it's getting better. I like it.
All right, so let's get into your adolescent years, your high school years. Who were you in high school over there? What high school did you go to?
I was a nobody. I was in Arizona.
You keep saying, you said nobody off camera. I'm like, nobody? What do you mean?
Well, because I just told you, we went to a predominantly like white Mexican school, so we didn't really fit in.
Yeah.
So our little clique was like 10, 15 people, and that was it. And so nobody else knew me. I never went to prom. I never did anything.
You didn't go to prom?
No. To hang out with who?
Your brother and your sister?
My brother and my sister? No, like we didn't enjoy it as much as we should have.
So were you quiet, or were you like
I was quiet. I wasn't. I didn't really have a lot of friends. Like my clique was small, probably like 3 or 4 people. Like.
So we're gonna have to figure out when the hell did this glow up just happen? When did this confident woman just develop? Did this happen over time? I'm assuming over time, because in high school if you're quiet, you didn't really have anybody, around too often. You turned into such a like powerful, woman. You know what I mean?
I think
life just did that.
Yeah, like I think life just did that. I think definitely in my 20s I was rebellious and I was pretty out there, pretty outgoing. Yeah. But I think during my 20s I went through a lot of shit, and those experiences just make you who you are.
Yeah.
And I think also for me, having a child, and like I'm very big on I want to build a legacy and change the blueprint of my family. So it's like I feel like I have an obligation. Like God has me here because I got an obligation to do. So that's what makes me do.
That's what children do. They bring that drive. It gives you a drive that you never knew you had. That's real. That's real. So after high school, you were quiet. You didn't go to prom, which to me this is all surprising. You didn't go to prom. Damn, you didn't go to prom.
I don't regret it either. But I tell my son all the time. I'm like, can you take me to prom? And he's like, whatever, mom. I'm like, let me take my mom. And I'm like, please.
He'll be the hardest dude in the school if he does that. That's facts. I've seen some people do that, like online.
Did they take their
mom? I would have took my mom, but unfortunately I didn't graduate high school. But anyway, I had GED, just to update on that. You know what I mean? But so did you go to college?
I did go to college. I went to I went to Western International University and I got my master's.
You got your master's in?
International business.
So now, okay, this is starting to make sense.
Yeah, so I originally was like, well, I want to have a business, but I want to travel too. So I just started learning about how to do business internationally with like Chinese and European, like all over the world, and it was cool.
So when you hit the workforce, what did you get into initially?
Initially, I actually worked for University of Phoenix. I was in the education system. And then when I got a real job, I started off just at the beginning, like the bottom, as an administrative assistant, executive assistant, and then this is kind of where my drive comes in. I went to my boss one day and I was like, you don't have an HR department. You need a human resources department. And she's like, so what do we suppose? I'm like, well, I can be your HR manager. And I said, I've created a list of everything that you need. This is what you're lacking.
And this is what you learned in school, right?
I don't know. I think, my mom and my sister at the time were doing HR, but I just kind of just told her, like, this is my plan for your HR department. You need to hire me. And she did. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But it felt right? But it felt right. I became her HR manager, and I like literally created her whole department. And I think that's kind of where it started. Is like, if I want something, I'm just gonna, it's mine. Like I'm just gonna make it happen.
We're actually gonna get into that but in a few questions. The HR background definitely makes sense with what you got going on. That'll be a nice conversation once we get there. So, you worked in corporate how long?
About 13 years.
13 years, and this is after college, right?
During and after.
When did you realize that you were going to become like an author or an entrepreneur? I want to say an entrepreneur. Is that a better? What do you like being called, an author or an entrepreneur?
So I am an author. I don't like to be called entrepreneur anymore.
Okay.
At the beginning, when I first left corporate, I'm an entrepreneur, and I feel like my mindset then was I just need to make enough money to pay my bills, right? And I'm gonna do a little bit of everything. But my mind has definitely shifted over the past year to a business owner. Of like I'm learning leveraging, and we could get into this more later, but like. It has shifted. So as far as your question, I started to want to become an author since I was like 9. I was very young. My whole life I've always said I want to become an author when I grow up. And then as far like I was like in corporate America, and it's interesting because my boss had talked to me and she was like, I really see you as the director of HR. I really want you to go down that path. And she's like, so I really need you to go and get your HR certification. And we have a couple more trainings we need you to do. But I could see you becoming director of HR in about 2 years.
So they started really supporting this role that you asked for and created out of thin air.
Mm-hmm. This was a new boss. But and any training that I would tell her, she would send me wherever to go train and learn. And then so I started training for this certification. I had like 6 months to take the test. And I had zero desire to take this damn test. And so I went to take the test that day. And I remember midway through it, because it was like a 4-hour test, about 2 hours in, I was like, fuck this shit. And I walked out. And she's like, you're not going to finish it? And I'm like, no, I'm good. And I went to the movies that day. And that evening, I was like, I had to sit with myself, and I was like, why do you not want to take this test? And it was very clear to me that I just wasn't passionate about it. Yeah. Like, I could do it. I'm good at it, but that's not what God called me to do.
Yeah.
And so once that became clear for me, I started to make a plan, and 6 months later, I was out. I was gone.
So what I want to ask now is, how were you introduced to writing, and when did you realize you had that skill set?
Early. I think the earliest I could remember was first grade. You know how they used to have you write the daily journals? And used to have do-nows
and stuff?
Yeah, they give you have to write a couple sentences. I still have those, and I think...
Will you save them, like souvenirs?
My mom saved them, yeah.
Really?
I still have them. And I think just early, and I would always like write poetry and write short stories, and then I had notebooks, and I would write to my friends and send it back and forth, and I've never not written.
So you just been writing your whole life. You just didn't even know you were going to be what you became.
Training to be what,
That's crazy, because sometimes it is like that. It's like the one thing you don't even think too much about that you just do.
Come natural.
That's awesome, because you're doing something that you love. I think that's the best part about this whole thing, is that you're doing something that you love. So.
Yep.
All right, so when did you decide to write your first book?
I decided to write my first book when I was about 12, 13 years old. I was in McGinnis, or like leaving McGinnis school. And I don't know, I had all these poems that I would collect, and I was like, oh, this is going to be in a book. But back in the 90s, we didn't have the internet as accessible as we do now.
All the information that you need.
Yeah, and so my parents, I would tell them, like, I have to become a writer, I have to become an author. But I was very clear, and this is also my entrepreneur background, I was very clear I don't want to go through traditional publishing because they're going to take over my writing, and I don't want that. And so I kind of just kept my poetry, and I kept collecting it, and it took me to the age of 28 to publish.
To get it done?
27, 28, yeah.
And you were still working in corporate world at that time?
I could have published it way before then, but I was afraid. Obviously, a lot of us become afraid of things, and we hold ourselves back, and we make excuses, and that's what I kept doing over and over.
That's what we all do. We're all guilty of it.
I did it for 17 years.
Yeah.
Since I was 12, so...
So what was the straw? You know, what was the last straw that made you...
So two things. I was in a situationship that was going nowhere. I feel like I was at a fork in a road all the time. I was wanting to go this way. This person was actually not even trying to go anywhere. He was trying to stay stuck. And I was constantly so tired of like trying to drag this person forward. That exhausted me. And around that time, I remember my aunt and my niece in Colombia, they got into a bus accident. They were on a bus going up the mountains, and the bus ejected them. Like they fell into a grassy area, and they survived. And I don't know, that kind of just shook me a little bit of like, holy hell, like this life is not guaranteed. And I'm sitting here,
like, wait tomorrow.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here waiting for somebody else to like get their shit together.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. Like I opened up my business like that following week, and I was like, okay, I'm really gonna publish my book, and I started to do everything, and I set a date, and that was like the start of it all.
So you just wrote down the goals, and then one at a time you just attacked it?
Yeah, and I think I was just sick and tired of being freaking sick and tired.
It gets to that point in life sometimes for people, and I think that's when you really start to take off. When you're at that breaking point where you're just like, I can't take no more. You got to get really fed up with your own bullshit. You know what I mean? And it comes down to your own bullshit, because you could try to blame it on other people and what they're doing to you, but you're the one that has the power. So I think that's why that book and that whole time that we collaborated, it was powerful.
Yep. It was at the right time.
Perfect timing. I couldn't have asked for better timing when it comes to that. So we're going to get a little bit more into a lot of the stuff that you got going on. We're going to take a quick break real quick. We're going to pay the bills, and we will be right back.
Sounds good.
Went to the break, we finished off, we were talking about how you got to write your first book and what was the last straw. Since then, you've written 7 books, and you got your 8th one on the way. And out of those 7, you got 2 bestsellers.
2 bestsellers.
That's a hell of a process right there. How long did that take? Let's talk about that whole little journey right there. That gap of work right there. What What time span was that? You said you wrote your first one at what age?
So I started writing the first one, which is poetry, at like 12, 13.
So I didn't really know you were into poetry like that.
I used to write songs too.
Really?
They're in my little notebook. So yeah, I just started.
So you can rap.
Little
something.
The first book so it's a compilation of like many years.
Yeah.
But I published that in 2016, and then I've written 6 more books since then. And then I just started writing my 8th book yesterday on the flight.
Okay, you want to give us a little insight on that or no?
Yeah, I'm going to give everyone the framework on how to become an author.
So you're writing a book on how to become an author?
Yeah, and do what I do.
Gotcha. All right, so you wrote 7 books.
Yeah.
8th one's on the way. 2 bestsellers.
2 bestsellers.
Which ones are the bestsellers?
Life is a Beautiful Journey and The Light in Times of Darkness.
Okay, so that's 2 really big ones. Are those the 2 last 2 ones?
Yeah, well, I had the children's book that came out.
I remember that one.
Soul in Me Sees the Soul in You.
Okay.
But those were before that.
Okay. How has that changed your life, becoming a best-selling author? Now you got that title on you.
So I believe that being a best-selling author gives you credibility. It's just if you're in a room with other people and they're looking at you to be a speaker for an event, they're always going to pick someone with more credibility than the other person. So when I walk in a room and I say I'm a number 1 best-selling author, I've been on CBS, NBC, Telemundo, they're going to be like, oh, we want her over just someone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it gives you that little push. But yeah, it feels pretty good.
From a credential standpoint.
Standpoint.
You could stand in these rooms now and you could poke your chest out a little bit.
And I can poke my chest out and be like, you should pick me because XYZ.
That's awesome. How many more bestsellers you got in you?
Oh, I'm going to be writing my whole life.
Never going to stop?
I can't wait. I meet a lot of writers that are like, I'm on my 70th book, and I cannot wait to be able to say that.
You got 8 down.
I know.
And what was the time span it took you to get to this 8th
So
one?
2016 to now.
What was that? 7 years? Mm-hmm. So pretty much like a book a year. You think you can increase that speed?
Oh, probably not.
Not enough time in the day, right?
No, because I'm also building my book publishing academy. So if I was only doing writing, then of course, yes. But I gotta live.
Who's your favorite author?
My favorite author has always been V.C. Andrews when I was growing up. I don't know why I loved her books.
Name a book, because I'm not familiar.
I don't remember. I was reading these when I was like 13.
Okay.
But
were they like,
my favorite book of all time is Motivation Manifesto by Brendan Burchard.
Okay.
That's
self-development?
Yeah. Really good book.
I read a few self-development books. Never that one. I had Think and Grow Rich was the one that really changed my life. And then I got into the chicken soup stuff.
Yeah.
Those were pretty good. What else have I read?
That's all.
No, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That one's good. I met him too.
Robert Kiyosaki?
Yeah.
I read that one. Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover.
Good.
I love that. I love Dave Ramsey. I love the principles. But now that I'm getting older, you start to realize that you actually do need. I'm not here to argue. But credit is important too. But cash is king. What else have I read? Lately, I've been reading more stuff on like stock options and stuff, like financial literacy. I'm more into that stuff right now. I got that. I got a music business for dummies.
Love it.
Yeah. But my favorite book I remember was when we were in school. They gave us a book called The Giver. I don't know if you guys remember that. And anybody from Perth Amway, our age or whatever, there was a book that they gave us. It was called The Giver, and it was about a kid that was living in a society where they kind of give kids jobs at certain ages, and they grow up in this kind of like protected environment. You know what I mean? And it turns out to be like a little hoax or whatever. And he finds out at the end, and he ventures off. But it was a good book. It was called The Giver. Count of Monte Cristo. I read a few books in my time, not a lot. I read a Tarzan book once. Oh. Yeah. But books are good. I want to get into reading a little bit more often, but I don't do it. I gotta get off the Xbox.
Yeah.
The Xbox kind of takes my time. Yeah. What are you reading right now?
I am reading. What am I reading? It's called Big Magic. I don't remember the author. finish it by this weekend, early next week. I try to read one book a week.
That's pretty good pacing.
Just fun.
Yeah. I got a book that I bought off of Amazon called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
I have it. It's just sitting right in my room. I have a bookcase. Like I made a bookshelf, and I have a few books that I have to get to. So this year I've read like 2 books, probably, which is, for me, that's a big deal. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people read. My friends don't read. You know what I mean? So I try to read and learn things that you can't learn, through YouTube, because you can learn a lot on YouTube, but books take you to a whole nother level. You know what I mean? So I think that's why you're so into it, right?
Yeah. Such intellectual.
All right. So now let's talk about something that you've been doing for quite some time now. You got the Book Publishing Academy going on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. How did that come about? Where is it headed? Where do you see this going? I know you put a lot of time and effort into this.
I do.
And been pretty successful with it.
Yeah. So the Book Publishing Academy, so when I published my book in 2016, I started to get writers that would reach out to me and say, pretty much, I want to do what you're doing. Can you teach me? And so I started to coach people one-to-one, not knowing what the hell I was doing.
Were you doing it free?
No, I would charge, but I was charging like $150. Even when I got to like $500, I'm like, oh, that's a lot of money. Like my belief system was very, very low. But I started teaching and coaching, and that's kind of how I got started. And then at one point, I had up to 12 authors that I was coaching at one time. And if you're a coach for authors and they're writing memoirs, stories about their life, it can be very draining at times because you're dealing with people that are reliving their traumas as they write. So a lot of times when I would coach them, we would talk about their traumas, and I felt like I was Dr. Phil. Okay, let's sit, let's talk about why you can overcome this and why you can write this book. And it was a lot. And I decided, I was like, okay, I need to be able to grow this, and I physically cannot coach more than 12, 15 people at one time and continue to grow this business. And so right before the pandemic, 2018, I started to get like this really visionary vision that I needed to go into online group sales. And so right before the pandemic, I started to create an outline. I started to do all that. And then the pandemic hits, and everyone was home, bored as fuck.
No better time.
So everybody was knocking on my door saying they wanted to write a book because they had all this free time at home. And it blew up. Everybody's businesses was shutting down, and my business was booming. Yeah, it was crazy.
That is crazy. You were thriving in the pandemic.
I was thriving. I was one of the businesses that was thriving in the pandemic. So let me share this story with you because not a lot of people know it. So I went on Facebook because I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups. I'm in probably like 80 Facebook groups just networking.
I'm guilty too. I'm in a bunch of different groups.
And I went in one group, one woman entrepreneur group, and I just posted and I said, I'm about to launch my book publishing academy. I'm looking for 10 beta testers that want to go through my program at half off. Would love for you to go through my program, give me feedback, and just testimonials. And in 24 hours, I had over 45 women comment yes on my post. And out of those 45, I think I did 27 calls. Out of the 27 calls in 2 days, I made $21,000. And
at half off.
At half off. And
how many people did you have in this beta test?
I don't even remember.
So 27 calls, you closed how many?
So it was 21,000 revenue generated, and I think cash collected was 12,000. But here's the kicker. I had no program. Because all I did was I went online and I said, I'm going to do this. I didn't have a program.
Once you had the money in your pocket, you had to go.
So this was mid-July, and I was telling them that my program was starting August 1st. So I had 2 weeks
to come up with a course.
See, this is how good God is. I had 2 weeks to come up with the course. So, and mind you, but I had already had that feeling, so I had like an outline kind of ready.
You were prepared.
I was preparing, but I wasn't prepared.
Okay.
So I had 2 weeks.
So let me ask you a question before you get into this.
This is a good story.
Did you sleep in those 2 weeks?
I don't think so.
You were probably going crazy with the amount of pressure that you had on you.
I had a lot of pressure.
You had a lot to deliver.
But that's how you know that you're being called for something bigger than you.
So go on. Did you deliver?
Oh, I delivered. So I had 2 weeks. I had to record. At the time, my academy was 35 videos. Right now, it's over 80 videos. But when I first got started, it was 35 videos. I had to record 35 videos in 2 weeks, edit all of them, plus make a curriculum. So I did a workbook that goes along with it. I had to find a platform to house all of my courses. I had to create a structure, bi-weekly group calls. Like, I had to set everything up. I didn't even have a website up for this.
So did you create the website first? Was that the first?
No, I started creating the program, and then the website came later. I didn't even have a logo. Okay, mind you, I didn't even have a logo.
Yeah.
So I had to do all of that in 2 weeks. And then August 1st, 2019, in the pandemic, we launched. 2020. Yeah, 2020. 2019 was the pandemic. COVID-19.
COVID-19, but it was 2020.
Oh, okay, yeah. So 2020, the Book Publishing Academy launched. I made $12,000 cash, $21,000 revenue generated in 2 days. And those people that originally started with me are I call them my grandfathered authors, because even till this day, they're still active, they're still writing books, they will go hard for me. Like I say, I need a testimonial, I need somebody to do this, they go hard for me.
This is an amazing story. I didn't know this. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
And I remember, and what's crazy is I didn't really document, because I was busy making a course, but I think I had like one video, and I don't even know, I'd have to look for it. One video, because every person that enrolled got a t-shirt. Like, I sent them an author t-shirt, and it was like 20 people, it was like 20 envelopes, and I'm like, this is really happening, like, this is crazy. And that was the start of...
So you did that, and now you got these beta testers who are now your grandfathered authors.
And they gave me feedback, and they were like, we tweak this, make suggestions here, there's a misspelled word here. And then the following year, I was able to add an additional 35 videos. So, well, more than that. We have over 80.
Wow. So you got really deep into the process of publishing books. And this is your area of expertise now. And you started this from just straight vision and throwing yourself into the fire because...
Really, I didn't... You know what, when they say, like, I didn't ask for this, I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask God, can you please give me this? He gave it to me. He said, you're assigned. And I just showed up. And it's crazy because, like I said, people would just reach out to me and be like, can you show me? And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll coach you, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it blew up.
And now here you are. You get to travel all the time because you're always all over the place.
I know, I'm always somewhere.
And you live a pretty healthy life. It seems like you love the life you live.
Yeah.
Everything that I see that you post has been positive. You're smiling, you're glowing, you're happy, and this is all a result of you breaking the mold and just jumping into it.
Yeah.
But that's crazy to see that you survived them 2 weeks with all that pressure on you, and
There's
now you got
pressure.
And they gave you the money, and you had the money, and you're like.
Well, and what's crazy is I had invested in a coach. I paid $5,000 for a business coach. So she was going to teach me how to start this group coaching thing. And I think it was our second call. I got on the call and I'm like, I made $21,000. And she's like, what? She's like, wait, hold up. She's like, we didn't even get to what I was going to teach you. And I'm like, I don't know. I just posted about it. I'm like.
Did it go to your Zelle? Cash App? What the hell was it?
I don't even remember at the time.
How did you collect that? Jesus.
I don't remember, but I was closing, I think my close rate was like 50%.
Jesus.
And I just, yeah.
And you never did sales before, right?
I think I did through PayPal. I've done some sales, but...
Okay, so you have some experience.
And I'm also passionate about this. This is what I love to do, so It's easy.
It's an easy conversation for you to have.
Yeah.
And you've done it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is amazing. So what do you see going on now? What do you plan on taking this? What's going on?
It's growing. So now I'm in a space where I've been doing, especially the last 4 months, heavy learning, training myself, and Every single day, I'm spending at least 4 hours a day listening to audios and doing training courses on how to scale my business from $20,000 months up to $100,000. So I'm learning, obviously I had the HR background, so thank God for that, because I was able to build my HR department, but I had to learn financials. That's a piece that I never knew about, so I'm learning about financials, business financials, the legal aspect of it, operations, and how to build a team, and so I could hire them because I'm an HR manager, but I didn't know how to have a community and
how to keep that corporate structure going. Yeah.
So I'm learning all of those things right now, and learning a little more about Facebook ads and funnels and how to scale it. So I'm in the growth phase.
So right now you're probably looking heavily into marketing and stuff like that, and impressions and cost per impression.
I'm looking at all of that.
I love that stuff, by the way. Yeah. That's the type of stuff that's what we were doing with Emotionally Drained. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we were doing.
Yeah.
When we had those meetings and we were talking about how can we get here and do this on a small scale, but it worked.
Yeah.
And that's the key to it. And wow, I'm very, very freaking impressed. I know that this is going to blow up for you. This is crazy.
I know that it is. I've hired so I have a team now. I have sales.
How many people do you have working with you now?
I think we have 7. I have accounting. I have 2 sales agents. I have 2 admins. We're growing.
That is dope.
And my sales agents are killing it. They're every day they're I booked 6 calls. I did this, and I'm just this is.
All right, so before...
It's just the beginning.
Yeah, not before, but while you were doing this, I know you were into other endeavors as well. You had got into the retreats, you got into the Airbnb business. I mean, you were just wearing a bunch of hats. And now it seems like you're more focused here. It seems to be your baby, and you're definitely paying attention to it. What happened with the other endeavors? Was it something that you realized that this was where you needed to be, or was it something else?
So I had dinner with a millionaire about 10 years ago, and he told me, he's you can't be the jack of all trades, but the expert in none. Yeah. And that never really sat with me then, because I'm a creative, so I like to do 10 million things at the same time. But I didn't realize how important that was, what he said, until this year. I learned that I needed to only focus on one thing, and although the Airbnb was making me money, it was still pulling me away from this business. And then the retreats as well. I love the retreats. They're so transformational and magical and beautiful, and I get to inspire women. But I had to really sit with myself, and I was the retreats have nothing to do with book publishing. So if it has nothing to do with book publishing, I should not be doing it, at least for this season. Maybe later down the road when when I'm grown and I have nothing else to do during my day, I could go do retreats. But for right now, I had to walk away from it. And so I made a decision that I was going to just be all in with my book publishing business. And in just 4 months, I already see where I was 4 months ago to where I am now. I was just this is crazy.
Wow. Weird thing is, I thought with the retreats, the way it was branded, it kind of felt like it was all tied together.
No, I mean, most of the women that would attend, they wanted a spiritual transformation. That has nothing to do with book publishing.
I don't know why. I guess
I would have a journal, and book writing, workshop for an hour, and so I told myself, I was if I'm going to host any type of retreats in the future, then it'll probably be a book writing retreat. It'll be tied into my academy specifically. Yeah. But for right now...
songwriters do that, right? They go away for weeks at a time. They go to one place and they sit there and they just write.
Or they go to cruises.
Wyoming.
They do a bunch of stuff.
That's pretty cool.
But I realized I just need to focus and learning to delegate my work too. I always try to control everything. I need to do everything in my business, and it's you can't. You have to pay other people to do stuff for you, because it's not even go crazy.
In the past, I remember having a conversation with you again. I believe it was in the beginning of your journey with the Book Publishing Academy. And you were talking to me about a CRM program that you were using for your website and stuff like that, and how you were learning to find the pros in the areas that you're not good at. And I think that's important. I think that's something that you should stress to the people that are listening. You can't do everything by yourself. You could be a one-man production team, but eventually it's going to get to the point where you're going to have to delegate some work and find people you trust. You have trouble finding people that you trust? It seems like your industry's, I would like to say, high-quality people. So do you deal with that? Do you deal with that type of stuff?
No, but I think for me, it's just, I always felt I could just do it better. But now it's just trusting that if, what I did was I created SOPs, standard operating procedures. And I have a procedure for every single thing with a video that teaches you how to do it.
Within your business.
Within my business. So there's no reason why the person that I hire cannot do it to the best of their ability.
Exactly what you're looking for.
Exactly. And I did this for every single department. HR,
See,
sales.
you worked in corporate world, so you understand what SOPs do.
Yes.
A lot of people don't.
They set them up for success.
Absolutely.
And so I've done that. Like work, that was a lot of work to do, but now that I have it, they know exactly what they're supposed to do and they're killing it. But going back to what you said, I was never good at funnels and websites and ads and all this tech shit. Never wanted to be either. But I'm so grateful that I did get immersed into that, and that I honestly, I wanted to throw my computer multiple times.
If you can understand SEO and marketing, that's the way of the world.
Well, and not only that, I feel like if I wouldn't have learned that, how will I know that my employee is doing their job to the best of their ability if I don't even know what they're doing?
Exactly.
And so I at least learned it. Now that I know, I could better manage it.
Yeah, it's so important though. It's in anything. And I do music mainly, but there's data points that I look at. There's things that I look at on the back end and analytics that I base my movements on. And it all comes from that stuff. And a lot of people don't understand that, and that's why a lot of people aren't successful, which is why you're going to be successful. If you can follow the numbers and follow the trends.
Numbers don't lie.
They don't at all.
Data does not lie.
Data. You need data. In any business, anything you're doing, you need accounting and you need data.
Yeah.
And you're going to be successful.
I know,
you are successful.
I know this because I'm doing it the right way. But it took me 7 years of being in business, of doing it the wrong way, for me to learn how to do it the right way. Right? We just grow up.
You made $21,000 in 2 days, man. That's pretty incredible. One person by yourself, just off of an idea, no tangible product. You created that.
I know.
Created that.
Gotta do it.
Kudos to you. That's an amazing feat.
I know.
So congratulations to you and your
Thank
business, all your success. I want to say we reached the point where we got what we needed, man. This is an amazing podcast. I mean, if people don't get what you're trying to give to them out of this is crazy.
I know, you were shocked. You're like, wait, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. That whole story right there blew my mind.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever really shared that with anybody.
It's a big deal.
So you heard it here first.
Yeah, there we go. I'll take that exclusive.
But you know what it is, though, is that on social media, I post, like you say, the glitz and glam, everything, like you look so happy, everything's great. Nobody knows the trenches that I've had to go. The groundwork, really. And that's why me and Kyrie were talking about doing a documentary on me one day of, like, the hard shit that I had to do to get to where I'm at now. Because nobody
Is this what you're working on coming up?
No. This is going to be a bigger project down the road. But, yeah.
Well, shout out to Kyrie. That's my dude, man. He was part of the magic that we made. Chuito, Seth, the kid, Rob. Everybody that was part of that project, Emotionally Drained. I love you guys. Where can we find you?
The best way is Instagram. Janine Hernandez _, or the Book Publishing Academy.
I'm going to put all those tags in the video, make sure everybody knows. I'll make sure it's in the description. You got anything else? Anything else you want to talk about?
Anything else? No, I'm good. I think that's it. You got a lot from me.
I did. That story was incredible. Oh my God, I'm amazed by that.
I should write a book about it.
That is a book. That is definitely a book. 2 days?
2 days.
Out of thin air. That's manifestation at its finest right there.
But that's everything that I do. I told you I'm a visionary. So when I see things,
that's amazing.
True.
But Janine, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
This is episode number 10. Your boy Bobby Crillz, Janine Hernandez, the Book Publishing Academy. Jesus, moving mountains. That's what she's doing over there.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Bobby Crillz.